Hallo Leute, hier ist Biti, euer Bitcoin-Trading-Informant und hier ist euer tägliches Update. Heute wieder mal ein schnelles Update, denn die letzten Updates haben einfach zu lange gedauert und ich hoffe, ich kann euch heute mal ein bisschen schneller sagen, wo die Sache hingeht. Ganz wichtig, wir hatten einen ganz tollen Tagesabschluss gestern und ich glaube, dass das vielleicht ein Indikator dafür sein könnte, dass es jetzt kein schlechter Augenblick wäre zu kaufen. Wir checken das Ganze natürlich jetzt mal gemeinsam in dem Update, also Leute, ab die Post. So, starten wir mal hinein. Die Kamera muss ich noch ein bisschen richten, sehe ich gerade. Bin natürlich auch live gerade. Liebe Grüße an alle, die dabei sind auf YouTube und auf Twitch. Auf meinem Livestreams seht ihr das Ganze auch und natürlich auch in meinem jetzigen Livestream. Also mal danke fürs dabei sein. Habe jetzt momentan mal 4 Zuschauer mit dabei. Einen Daumen nach oben. Danke demjenigen dafür, der mir schon mal einen Vorschuss Lorbeer gegeben hat und mal einen Daumen nach oben gegeben hat. Wie immer gibt es jetzt mal die deutsche Analyse für Bitcoin und danach gibt es die englische Analyse. We are starting with the German analysis and after this we will start with the English one. So, jetzt geht es aber mal los mit der deutschen und wir schauen mal wieder, wie schauen die Coins heute denn so aus und es ist schon mal ein bisschen freundlicher, oder? Wenn wir da so reinschauen, ist schon mal, die Top 5 hier sind schon mal alle wieder grün, das ist schon mal ganz gut. Der Binance Coin hat ganz gut angezogen, 8% wieder nach oben, aber noch immer 13% im Minus. Der Bitcoin 2,7% nach oben, okay. Und 11,8% im Minus. Mike, schau mal, DAX und USA 30. Können wir auch machen, können wir uns auch anschauen, den DAX. Ich check jetzt mal nur vorab mal Bitcoin und dann können wir uns das Ganze ein bisschen genauer anschauen. Bleibt dran, Mike, und erinnere mich noch mal kurz daran, bitte. Ich bin ein bisschen vergesslich, bin schon alt, ihr seht meine weißen Haare. Und liebe Grüße nochmal an Mike, danke fürs dabei sein. Also, Ethereum geht rauf mit 3,7%, aber noch immer 20% runter mit der Woche, das ist mal gar nicht gut. Solana, 21% im Minus. Ja, Leute. Summa summarum, wenn wir uns das hier so kurz anschauen, die ganzen Coins sind alle grün. Die ganzen Top 18 Coins hier sind grün, das ist mal gar nicht so wichtig. Alle Coins hier sind eigentlich grün für heute. Das war ein kleiner, schöner Pump nach oben. Wer ist denn der größte Gewinner? Oasis, 29% im Plus, Near Protocol 17% und Polygonmatic 12% im Plus. Im Minus ist der größte Loser und da gibt es eigentlich gar keinen Loser. Sehr interessant. Es gibt keinen einzigen Loser hier. Hi Angry Higgins. Schön mit dabei auf YouTube und auf Twitch in Stereo, schätze ich mal. Viel cool. Später ist zu spät. Okay, gut. Trotzdem bin ich jetzt mal im Bitcoin-Update. Sorry, ich muss das vorher mal machen, das Bitcoin-Update. Und dann kann ich leider erst wahrscheinlich zu spät mir den DAX anschauen, den bösen. Also die ganzen Coins sind eigentlich in Grüne, das gefällt mir sehr gut. Wir haben mittlerweile schon 16.652 Coins. Ja, ist unvorstellbar. Bitcoin-Dominanz 40,5%, Ethereum 19%. Gestern war es, glaube ich, auch so. Und wir checken das Ganze jetzt mal hier. Leute, das, was ihr hier seht, ist mein kleiner Kanal, den ich auch nebenbei habe. Das ist Tradingfees. Und da seht ihr hier, und das finde ich sehr interessant, 9 Coins, 9 der größeren Coins hier. Und da seht ihr links oben Ethereum. Und wenn wir uns Ethereum anschauen, haben wir hier im Stundenchart, jede Kerze ist eine Stunde, haben wir hier dieses Bild, dass wir momentan hier ein Kaufsignal hatten und hier momentan im Stundenbereich sehr stark kämpfen. Ihr seht es hier, Ethereum kämpft sehr stark mit dem Ribbon Band. MACD geht zurück, die blaue Linie crasht auch gleich mal und es könnte durchaus wieder schnell bearish werden für Ethereum. Das sehen wir hier ganz gut. Dasselbe gilt hier für Solana. Wir haben zwar ein Buy-Signal hier, aber auch bei Solana kämpfen wir sehr stark mit der roten Linie, mit dem Ribbon Band. Und auch hier haben wir zwar noch ein MACD im Bullischen, aber ist jetzt auch schon, der geht auch schon zurück. Gleiches Bild wie Ethereum. Bitcoin ist sowieso schon gekreuzt hier. Die blaue Linie ist schon runter. Das seht ihr hier ganz gut. Wir bauen einen bearischen MACD und auch hier sind wir wieder mal von dem Ribbon Band leider nach unten gegangen. Wir haben hier ein Short-Signal, rotes Ribbon Band, wir haben ein Sell-Signal. Alles schaut momentan ganz schlecht aus. Wenn wir uns XLM anschauen, da haben wir hier ein Sell, ein Buy und wieder ein Sell. Da haben wir das Sell-Signal schon. Sind wir auch wieder nach unten gespiked nach dem Ribbon Band. Auch schlecht. Gleiches Bild fast wie bei den anderen Coins. ADA, wir haben zwar noch ein Buy hier, aber auch jetzt hier bei ADA kämpfen wir mit dem Ribbon Band. Interessant. Was haben wir hier? Den BNB. Der ist eigentlich gut. Schaut euch mal BNB an. Der ist echt gut. Da haben wir einen Long, da haben wir einen Buy. Wir sind über dem Ribbon Band. Das seht ihr hier ganz schön. Und sind jetzt als nächstes hier am Kämpfen mit der gelben Linie. Das ist die EMA 200. Hier unten ist der Dogecoin. Der Dogecoin hat auch ein Buy-Signal hier. Wunderschön, ein wunderschöner Pump, den wir hatten vor 4 Stunden beim Dogecoin. Wir sind schön hochgepumpt, jetzt leider ein langer Docht nach oben und jetzt kommen wir wieder runter und sind am Ribbon Band angelangt. Auch hier der Fight vom Dogecoin momentan mit dem Ribbon Band, aber über dem Ribbon Band. Also Dogecoin schaut ein bisschen besser aus als der Rest hier. Natürlich auch BNB schaut gut aus. IOTA hat wieder mal das Ribbon-Band verloren. IOTA, mein Sorgenkind, ist wieder auf dem Sell-Signal hier und kämpft schon wieder unter dem Ribbon-Band. Und XRP hier unten auch Sell-Signal hier unter dem Ribbon-Band. Und naja, gar nicht mal so gut. Gehen wir mal das Ganze hier weg und checken mal die Bitcoin-Dominanz. Die Bitcoin-Dominanz schaut momentan so aus. Wir gehen mit dem kleinen Aufwärtskanal nach oben. Wir sind, habe ich euch auch gestern gesagt, aus dem bösen Abwärtskanal ausgebrochen. Ja, wir haben einen Death Cross hier, wir gehen auch weiter runter, aber ein kleiner Lichtschimmer. Wir sind aus dem Kanal hier ausgebrochen und gehen mal jetzt ein bisschen nach oben, kämpfen jetzt gerade momentan mit der grünen Linie. Die grüne Linie hier zeige ich euch immer wieder gerne. Rote Linie ist die SMA 200, grüne Linie ist die SMA 50 und mit der kämpfen wir momentan gerade. Schaffen wir das darüber, wäre das ein bullisches Zeichen dafür, dass die Bitcoin-Dominanz weiter steigt. Ihr wisst, Leute, Bitcoin-Dominanz geht nach oben. Besser Bitcoin zu traden als Altcoins zu traden. Momentan geht es aber nach unten hier ein bisschen. Fear and Greed Index, den aktualisieren wir mal, aber ich glaube, der ist aktuell, ja, 21 Punkte. Wir haben extreme Angst. So viel Angst hatten wir schon lange nicht mehr. Wir haben die Buchse voll, ist jetzt schon extreme Angst. Gestern 23 Punkte, letzte Woche 23 und jetzt heute sogar nur mehr 21 Punkte. Extreme Angst im Markt. Was geht hier so ab beim Trading-View? Und hier ist alles nach wie vor auf Sell, Strong Sell, Tagesgeschehen, 2 Stunden Geschehen, 2 Stunden Geschehen, 30 Minuten Geschehen. Ja, alles mal schlecht. In der Woche alles schlecht. Und im Monat haben wir noch den Kaufen hier, aber alles andere ist momentan nach wie vor auf Sell. Hat sich nichts geändert gegenüber gestern. Die Price Prediction hat sich ein bisschen verbessert. Wenn wir uns das anschauen bei CoinCodex, ja Leute, ich weiß, das hat in letzter Zeit nicht wirklich gut gestimmt, trotzdem schauen wir es an. Wir sind hier runtergegangen auf die 41 und jetzt sagt uns die Price Prediction, ein kleiner Pump steht bevor. Ein kleiner Pump auf 44.500, dann wieder runter auf 41.8 und dann vielleicht hoch auf 44.5. Okay, wir werden sehen. Wir haben extreme Angst im Markt. Sentiment ist bearish, 27% bullish, 73% bearish. Alles ist hier auf Rot. Und wir haben ganz wichtig die nächsten Supportpunkte nach unten. 40.300, 38.800 und 37.800 als Supportpunkte. Und die großen Widerstände nach oben sind momentan sogar ein bisschen nach oben gegangen. 42,7, 43,7 und 45,1 wäre jetzt mal der große, stärkste Widerstand nach oben. So, die Preisvorschau, die nächsten Tage. Ja, schauen ein bisschen besser aus als letztens. Wir haben hier lauter grüne Zahlen hier, ihr seht schon. Soll hier auf 44,5 gehen, dann runter 42, wieder 44,5. Naja, schauen wir mal weiter. Ab dem 21. Januar soll das Ganze weiter runtergehen. Die 40 sollen halten, sagt die Prediction. Dann wieder schön nach oben. Dann sehen wir sogar mal zweistellige Gewinne mit Anfang Februar auf 46.000 und dann mit 10. Februar vielleicht sogar auf 48.000. Also die Price Prediction hier von CoinCodex hat sich ein bisschen verbessert. Gar nicht mal so schlecht hier, würde ich sagen. So, zu dem Thema hier. Jetzt gehen wir mal weiter. Das hier, Leute, ist auch ein Bild, ja, das haben sehr, sehr viele im Kopf. Und das zeige ich euch nur, um nochmal ein schnelles, großes Bild zu machen. Das zeigt uns auch hier dieser Trader mit seinem Trading-View-Chart-Bild hier. Watch 40k, ja natürlich, wir müssen die 40.000 im Auge behalten, wissen wir alle, ist momentan mal der größte Widerstand. Und er zeigt uns auch das hier, was auch ich befürchte. Wir sind natürlich hier in der ABC-Korrektur. Die große Frage ist nur wirklich jetzt, wo ist C? Er meint, C könnte auf 30.000 sein, das sagen auch sehr viele, ist natürlich jetzt ein Bild, das sehr viele sagen, sehr viele Trader sagen das, Leute. Wir gehen runter, Achtung, vielleicht auf 29.000, 30.000 großer Support und von dann wieder nach oben. Naja. Wir werden sehen. Wollte es euch nur mal kurz zeigen. Natürlich auch das nochmal ins Gehirnchen rufen. Das ist hier die Depression, in der wir sind. Und das ist was mir nicht gut gefällt. Wir waren lange Zeit über dem schönen Kanal hier, über diesen Support und sind nach unten ausgebrochen und sind jetzt in der Depression. So, ganz schnell ein Blick auf unseren Stock-to-Flow, auf unser Stock-to-Flow-Model. Wir sind weiter runtergegangen, wir sind noch immer bei 43.000, 42.000 da unten irgendwo. Wir sind bei 42.000, sollten bei 108.000 sein. Ja, wir sind da weiter runter. Aber, und jetzt wird es langsam interessant, nicht vergessen, Leute, wir hatten hier schon zwei schöne Candlestick-Patterns. Das habe ich euch auch gestern schon gesagt. Wir hatten hier den Doji Star, den Harami Cross und auch noch vorgestern den Morning Doji Star. Und gestern die Kerze war überhaupt gut. Die gestrige Kerze war überhaupt gut. Und das schauen wir uns jetzt ein bisschen genauer an, Leute. Das ist der Tageschart. Das ist so mein großes Bild, was ich so vor mir habe ich euch auch gestern gezeigt. Achtung, Schulterkopf, Schulterdurchbruch hier nach unten. Wir sind nach unten schon durchbrochen. Und wir haben ein technisches Ziel. Und das dürfen wir nicht vergessen, Leute, bei 15.277. Liebe Grüße, Distrust. Liebe Grüße hier mit dabei bei Twitch. Wir dürfen das nicht vergessen. Wir haben hier das böse Ziel auf 15.000 unten, Schulterkopf, Schulter. Ja, wie gesagt, haben hier diese schöne Linie nach unten durchbrochen. Große Sache ist natürlich jetzt noch dieser Bereich hier, den ich euch eingezeichnet habe. Das ist nämlich ein Mega-Support. Und wir haben hier diese Linie da oben schon so oft angetestet, jetzt auch wieder angetestet. Das ist noch so ein bisschen mein Hoffnungsschimmer, dass der hält. Und das Gute war, warum ich euch am Anfang gesagt habe, Leute, vielleicht haben wir jetzt ein Kaufsignal. Hey, 2 Daumen nach oben. Wahnsinn, vielen Dank. Vielleicht haben wir hier ein Kaufsignal. Gehen wir mal weiter rein hier ins Vergnügen. Ist der hier. Schaut euch mal diese Kerze hier an. Die ist doch wirklich wunderschön. Ja, warum ist die so schön, Biti? Weil wir einen langen Docht nach unten gebaut haben. Wir hatten hier einen Abverkauf runter auf diesen Punkt hier auf, das ist der Binance Chart mit dem USDT, auf 39,6, 39,7. Schaut momentan nicht gut aus wie nach oben, bitte. Ja, schaut momentan nicht gut aus, ich weiß. Aber gestern, diese Tageskerze hier mit diesem irrsinnig langen Docht nach unten hat uns gezeigt, da unten ist viel Kaufvolumen reingekommen. Wir konnten alles wieder zurückkaufen, da waren sehr viele Long-Positionen und das war richtig Volumen, was uns da wieder nach oben geschossen hat. Wir haben hier, das ist das Gute an der Geschichte, eben diese schöne Candle, diese schöne Kerze gebaut, die uns eigentlich bullish stimmen könnte. Jetzt ist die große Frage, was passiert denn jetzt weiter? Wir kommen schon wieder ein bisschen runter hier, ja, sehe ich, aber das Gute an der Sache ist, wir sind noch immer über der grünen Linie. Gestern runtergespiked, war brandgefährlich, gar keine Frage, war meiner Meinung nach ein großer Stop-Loss-Hand, viele vielleicht long gegangen hier oder hier, Stop-Loss unter die Linie gesetzt, bam, draußen aus dem ganzen Minus und die Market Maker machen schon wieder Geld, die ganzen Börsen machen schon wieder Geld, Binance und wie sie alle heißen, machen wieder Geld, indem sie USDT einfach mal raushauen, einfach mal Bitcoin, die sie angesammelt haben, großartig verkaufen, runterspiken lassen, unten wieder einkaufen, die Stop-Losses alle handen und dann wieder nach oben hin mitnehmen. Also funktioniert ja super, wenn man ganz viel Kohle hat, kann man das ja wirklich toll beeinflussen hier. Leider machen das ganz sicher die ganzen Börsen auch. Will ja jetzt nicht jemanden anschwärzen, aber ja, sehe ich schon ein bisschen so. Natürlich geht es bei den kleineren Coins noch viel besser, das Ganze zu machen, als bei Bitcoin. Bei Bitcoin ist das Ganze schon viel mehr gestreut. Da sind schon viel mehr Institutionen drinnen und Leute mit viel Geld, viele Wale. Aber trotzdem, mit diesen Geschichten hier nach unten ist es natürlich gefährlich und ein Stop-Loss tut uns natürlich weh, wenn wir mit Stop-Loss arbeiten, was ich natürlich nur jedem empfehlen kann. Ja, wir sind runtergespiked und dieser lange Docht nach unten zeigt mir eigentlich, es könnte hier schön nach oben gehen. Deshalb möchte ich mit euch mal kurz die Candlestick-Pattern anschauen. Die All-Candlestick-Patterns. Ich möchte nämlich mal kurz checken, was haben wir denn hier, wenn wir uns alle hier mal anhaken. Und anhaken, das habe ich nämlich schon länger nicht mehr gemacht. Und mit euch gemeinsam mal kurz die Candlesticks hier checken. Das könnten Morningstar sein. Ich gebe trotzdem mal alle rein hier. So, ja. Und das wollte ich eigentlich sehen, Leute. Wir haben einen langen Lulatsch gebaut. Nein, ist kein langer Lulatsch. Das ist ein Long Lower Shadow. Ein Long Lower Shadow ist ein wirklich gutes Signal, dass es für hier nach oben geht. Checken wir das Ganze mal. LLS Candlestick. LLS Candlestick Chart Candlestick. Schauen wir uns das mal an, ob wir da was finden. LLS Candlestick. So. Long Lower Shadow. Da ist er schon. Ich mag den Long Lower Shadow. Gebe das Ganze jetzt mal auf Deutsch. Wird heute schon wieder länger werden. Aber müsst ja nicht alles gucken hier, was ich so sage. Eine lange untere Schattenkerze ist ein technischer Indikator, der von Händlern verwendet wird, um eine Umkehr des Markttrends zu erkennen. Somit ist eigentlich alles gesagt. Ich muss gar nicht mehr sagen. Dieser Long Lower Shadow ist eigentlich ein Zeichen dafür für eine Trendumkehr. Und den haben wir gestern gebaut und deswegen bin ich heute so ein bisschen euphorisch, deswegen bin ich heute so ein bisschen bullish, weil wir diesen langen Lulatsch, sage ich mal, gern gebaut haben. Wir haben hier auch schon die gebaut, den Spinning Top White. Das ist dieser hier, ist auch schon mal ein Zeichen dafür, dass es hier eine Trendumkehr gibt. Aber jetzt durch den langen Lulatsch, ich sage immer langer Lulatsch, durch den Long Lower Shadow, Leute, bin ich eigentlich bullischer gestimmt. Ich weiß, wir gehen momentan ein bisschen runter. Es sind jetzt nicht die großen Zeichen dafür da, dass wir hochgehen, aber das checken wir ganz mal jetzt im Detail. Ich weiß, wir sind noch immer im Schulter, aber lasst mich mal ein bisschen bullish sein, bitte. Lasst mich mal, wenn es runter geht, bullish sein. Ansonsten ist es ja immer so, wenn wir nach oben gehen und nach oben gehen, ja, wir gehen nach 120.000, alle sind mit dabei und dann die langen Gesichter, wenn es nach unten geht. Jetzt ist die große Frage nämlich ja die, können wir jetzt einkaufen? Können wir da unten einkaufen, nicht erst nach einer Bestätigung, wenn wir wieder irgendwo drüber sind, können wir die unteren Zeichen schon nützen. Ist gefährlich, fallendes Messer, die Finger, ihr wisst schon, mit fallendem Messer, habe ich euch gestern schon erklärt. Aber ja, Higi schreibt, wir brauchen 42,5 oder 43,2. Ja, auch das sagen viele. Warum 43,5 und 42,5 und warum 43,2? Es ist mal ganz klar. Erstens mal müssen wir da wieder drüber. Das ist meiner Meinung nach das ganz, ganz Große. Jetzt kommt es immer darauf an, wo. Ich habe den bewusst ein bisschen fetter gezeichnet. Ich bin so der Meinung, wir brauchen geschlossene Kerzen wieder über diesem bösen Widerstand, den wir jetzt eigentlich haben. Wir können den ja auch rot machen. So, das ist der große böse Widerstand. Der böse Wolf, da müssen wir drüber. Momentan gucken wir da noch unten rum, irgendwo herum. Und solange wir da nicht drüber sind, ist gar nichts schön. Ich weiß das schon. Aber jetzt mal zu versuchen, hier unten ein fallendes Messer abzufangen, das gefällt mir hier schon ganz gut. Also Leute, mit diesen langen Lulatsch nach unten bin ich schon mal, LLS, bin ich schon mal ein bisschen glücklich. Aber ihr seht schon, wir hatten hier auch diesen Bullish Engulfing, ein schönes Zeichen dafür, dass wir eigentlich nach oben gehen. Was ist passiert? Wupp, nach unten. Aber wir hatten hier oben auch ein Long Upper Shadow, das dürfen wir auch nicht vergessen. Und der hat uns gezeigt, Achtung, wir fallen nach unten nach der Kerze. Was ist passiert? Ein richtiger Drop. Also diese LLS und LUS sind schon ein gutes Zeichen hier. Nicht immer, ihr seht es schon, aber auf die Sicht gesehen, ja Leute, auf die Sicht gesehen ist das schon ein gutes Zeichen dafür. Diese langen Shadows nach oben sind ein Zeichen dafür, dass es nach unten geht, ist auch passiert. Momentan bauen wir gerade den ersten hier unten. Naja, okay, so viel dazu, ich wollte euch das mal zeigen. Heute schauen wir mal ganz schnell noch in den Stundenchart hinein, das ist natürlich auch ganz wichtig, bevor wir heute noch was anderes machen. Wir hatten hier diesen bösen Jungen hier drinnen im Stundenchart. Das ist der Bearish Engulfing. Dieser hier mit dem langen Docht nach oben. Der macht uns wieder bearish, Leute. Ist klar, im Stundenchart haben wir andere Zeichen als im Tageschart. Eh klar, jede Kerze anderes Zeichen. Aber der macht uns wieder ein bisschen bearish, dass es weiter nach unten geht. Obwohl wir so nette Dojis hier bauen, ist es aber noch immer kein Zeichen dafür für eine Trendumkehr. Wir brauchen sowas, ein Bullish Engulfing oder irgendwas in der Richtung, um hier wieder nach oben zu kommen. Wir schauen uns jetzt aber bewusst mal dieses Bild hier an. Gehen wir ein bisschen größer hier. Ich mache hier diese Patterns mal weg und schauen uns mal an, wo sind wir denn so momentan drin gefangen. Und das ist jetzt eigentlich dieser böse Abwärtskanal, den wir hier so haben, der so aussieht. Und es gilt jetzt eigentlich daraus, aus diesem bösen Abwärtskanal auszubrechen. Wir hatten hier im Stundenchart ein Hoch, der lag hier bei dem Punkt, 42.700. Dann hatten wir nächstes Hoch, der lag leider nicht darüber. Und ihr wisst immer wieder, Leute, wir brauchen höhere Hochs. Hatten wir nicht, deswegen runter. Ja, wir müssen jetzt eigentlich, ganz wichtig, höhere Hochs bauen. Solange wir das nicht machen, ist das Ganze nach wie vor bearish. Da helfen uns auch diese schönen langen Dochts nach unten nichts. Der war eigentlich ein super Zeichen dafür, dass es ein Stück nach oben geht. Viele haben den auch getradet, viele sind damit eingestiegen, habe ich auch gemacht, sind dann mit nach oben und haben natürlich dann hier wieder oben kalte Füße bekommen, weil sie gesehen haben, das reicht nicht, das Volumen geht zurück, die Kerzen werden kleiner, es reicht nicht, bam, wir fallen wieder runter. Ich bin auch wieder mit ausgestiegen, muss ich auch gestehen, habe auch kalte Füße bekommen, war auch gut so, war ein kleiner Trade nach oben. Und jetzt ist das natürlich toll, man kann durchaus schön diese Kanäle traden. Es ist ein Abwärtskanal, es ist ein kleiner Kanal, viele sagen, es ist langweilig, wir gehen seitwärts, aber man kann das durchaus nutzen, hier einzukaufen, hier natürlich schwierig gewesen, ich weiß, hier nach oben, an der Mittellinie verkaufen, wieder nach unten, hier wieder einzukaufen, an die Mittellinie verkaufen, warten, okay, wir haben etwas versäumt, war nicht gut, macht nichts, wieder nach unten, hier wieder runter, einzukaufen, hier wieder nach oben, Mittellinie, Achtung, viel Volumen gewesen. Nehmen wir mit, da können wir mal weiter nach oben gehen. Hier wieder verkaufen. Ganz so perfekt geht es nicht, Leute, ich weiß das schon. Aber es ist eine Möglichkeit, diese kleinen Bewegungen zu traden und unten einzukaufen, um zu verkaufen. Das ist, wenn ihr viel Zeit habt und wenn ihr viel Zeit mit dem Traden macht, könnt ihr das so machen. Gleich kommt Powell. Okay, Mike? Ich wünsche ihm alles Gute. Na, ich muss mal weitermachen hier, es dauert schon zu lang. Also, die deutsche Analyse ist nach wie vor am Laufen. Wir haben da viele Sachen, auf die wir schauen müssen. Wir brauchen auf jeden Fall höhere Hochs, die machen wir momentan nicht. Und wir haben das nächste Problem, auf das wir gucken müssen, das ist das Ribbon Band. Das checken wir auch mal. Da ist es. Ribbon Band im Stundenchart schauen wir noch kurz an und da hatten wir gestern einen schönen Pump nach oben, haben das wieder nach unten verloren, sind noch mal kurz auf den Retest gegangen, retesten es gerade wieder. Wir haben jetzt gerade wieder in der letzten Stunde hier diese schöne Candle nach unten gebaut, das gefällt mir, das ist wieder gut. Diese nach unten ist schon wieder so eine Art Lower Shadow, nicht ganz so, aber ja. Und wir kämpfen nach wie vor mit dem Ribbon Band. Wir brauchen jetzt bestätigte Kerze über dem Ribbon Band und dann hoch hier, nach oben hier, über diesen Kanal, über diesen kleinen Kanal ausbrechen. Nächste Geschichte, ja ganz klar, EMA 200, hier kommt sie daher, 43,2 und dann ist der große Widerstand da. Ja Leute, wir haben viel Widerstand momentan, aber da gilt es mal drüber zu kommen. Heute mal ein bisschen eine andere Geschichte. Wir schauen uns jetzt eines an, ich gebe jetzt mal bewusst alles weg, alle Drawings, gebe auch bewusst mal die Patterns weg, schalte sie nur mal aus. So, wir sind noch immer im Stundenchart und wir checken heute den Indikator, nämlich das Bollinger Band. Nicht dieses Bollinger Band, dieses Bollinger Band. So, das gehen wir mal weg hier. Das da unten gehen wir auch weg. So, Bollinger Band. Wenn wir uns das hier so anschauen, haben wir bei diesem Bollinger Band auch immer wieder ganz schöne Zeichen dafür, oh, wäre vielleicht Zeit dafür zu verkaufen. Hier haben wir das nicht gehabt, die sind immer runtergespiked, aber es war ein guter Punkt, wir haben die obere Linie erreicht. Wie schaut es jetzt mit dem Bollinger Band aus? Gehen wir das Ganze mal an. Wir sind momentan da unten, war ein guter Punkt einzukaufen, keine Frage, sind an der Mittellinie, Möglichkeit zu verkaufen, wenn wir uns das hier auf dem Stundenchart hier so anschauen, gar keine Frage. Das heißt, wir sind doch immer im unteren Bereich. Wir müssen im Stundenchart die Mittellinie wieder zurückerobern. Das ist natürlich wichtig, um hier weiter nach oben zu kommen. Das Bollinger Band ist ziemlich nah beieinander. Das ist auch ein Punkt dafür, dass vielleicht jetzt mal eine größere Bewegung kommt. Wenn wir uns das Ganze im 4-Stunden-Chart anschauen, sehen wir da mal, checken wir das mal. Dragon, sound like meeting with Fed is gonna say otherwise. Okay. Wenn wir uns das hier im 4-Stunden-Bereich anschauen, schaut das Ganze besser aus. Warum? Im 4-Stunden-Bereich sind wir über der Mittellinie, das seht ihr hier. Ja, war ein großer Spike nach unten wieder, aber wir haben das wieder zurückerkämpft. Das heißt, wir kommen hier wieder nach oben. Bollinger Band schaut besser aus im 4-Stunden-Bereich, weil wir im oberen Bereich sind und momentan mal diese Mittellinie hier verteidigen können. Was mir natürlich nicht gefällt, wir hatten so schön höhere Hochs, bis wir da wieder runter sind. Aber wir halten das noch. Mittellinie hält, ist gut, soll auch halten. Schauen wir uns das noch im Tageschart an. Auch das ist nicht unwichtig. Was ist los? Hier ist er. Ein bisschen raus hier und im Tageschart sind wir tief unten. Schaut mal, wir sind hier unter der Mittellinie weiter runter, weiter runter. Da sind wir endlich mal ein bisschen nach oben gespiked. Und der Tageschart schaut echt nicht so schlecht aus, Leute. Es schaut echt nicht so schlecht aus momentan. Gefällt mir. Wir sollen diesen langen Lowlatch da unten echt nützen, Leute. Angry Higgins, wenn Powell nichts ganz Böses sagt, passiert ohnehin nichts. Alles, was er sagt, wird vorab bekannt gegeben. Ich meine den von der Fed. Ja, wird vorher bekannt gegeben. Ja, heute ist ja, ist das heute oder ist das morgen? Morgen ist Mittwoch, oder? Ist das nicht morgen, Leute? Ist nicht morgen die Bekanntgabe wegen der Inflation? Ist das nicht morgen? Ich glaube, das ist doch morgen, oder? Distrust looks good. Ja, es gefällt mir eigentlich ganz gut, dieses Pattern hier da unten und dieser lange Lulatsch nach unten. Gefällt mir auch eigentlich recht gut. Das heißt, warum nicht jetzt vielleicht hier nach oben spiken? Langer Lulatsch, was bauen wir hier gerade? Spinning Top Wide bauen wir hier gerade, ist auch ein bullisches Zeichen. Leute, wir bauen hier gerade 3 bullische Zeichen, dass das da unten echt uns helfen könnte, weiter nach oben zu kommen. Das war heute lang genug für das deutsche Update. 28 Minuten, sorry Leute, ich wollte es nicht so lang machen. Es gibt noch so viel. Es gibt MACD, RSI, es gibt nein, aus. Deutsches Update, Ende. Wir starten mit dem englischen Update. Leute, vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen, fürs deutsche Update. Nun kommen wir zum englischen Update. Also, los geht's. Kurze Pause vorher, Leute, kurze Pause.
System activated.
So Leute, ich bin nochmal zurück. I'm back again. Here is the live feed. I let it run a little bit. Maybe he's telling us something really interesting. So I will turn on here the sound and maybe we can hear something interesting. Here is the live feed. Chairman Jeremy Powell is talking and I will put the volume on a little bit. So let's check what's going on and we will make the TA for the Bitcoin in English a little bit later.
Step 0.7% when President Biden raised his right hand. In December alone, we added 800,000 jobs, more than doubling economists' expectations. The economy's regained 84% control with vaccines. Today, we're at a critical moment. For the first time in decades, workers are finally starting to get a little bit more.
Nice internet connection.
More bargaining power. Wages are growing faster than inflation, more unaffordable for decades, from childcare to prescription drugs to housing. While paychecks are starting to go up, wages are still far from keeping up with corporate profits, paychecks from growing. And we know how this goes. The cooling off never seems to extend to corporate profits or executives' pay. The Fed must not allow only Wall Street to recover while working Americans are left behind. We in all the communities that have been left on their own for too long. We also expect reform inside the Federal Reserve System, means increasing diversity at the Fed so the people making decisions for our economy actually reflect the workers who power that economy. It's something the Fed's entire history has been, frankly, shameful about. As Chair Powell said, if entrenched inequities prevent some Americans from participating fully in our labor markets, not only will they be held back from opportunities, but our economy overall will not realize it.
Mike, this is double life.
Good words from the chair on that. Many of us have appreciated those words, but now we expect action. In all of this work, the American people must be able to trust that the Federal Reserve works for them, that officials aren't abusing their positions for personal gain. Recent revelations about the Fed's ethics scandal have confirmed a lot of people's worst suspicions about government officials. As chair of the Fed, Mr. Powell has a responsibility to restore that trust. The Fed plays a central role in how we want our economy to work. We can't have a Fed that returns to business as usual because, frankly, that just didn't work for most Americans. Chair Powell, President Biden nominated you to grow the economy for all Americans, not just those at the top, and to protect that growth from threats to our financial system like risky Wall Street schemes and crypto bubbles and increasing climate disasters. We expect you to meet these challenges. I believe you've shown the leadership to do so. We will be watching closely.
Crypto bubbles.
Thank you, Mr.
What he's telling us
Chairman
about
Powell,
crypto bubbles.
congratulations
There's
on
no
your
bubble.
nomination. As I
Damn.
have said, I intend to vote in favor of extending your chairmanship. Let me briefly explain why. There's a broad bipartisan backing for Chairman Powell's renomination because he has a record of acting thoughtfully and constructively, especially in some very difficult circumstances. First, he did implement a number of modest, sensible reforms that reduced regulatory burdens, including on small banks, and helped to encourage economic growth. Second, when the pandemic hit nearly 2 years ago and governments worldwide began to shut down their economies, credit markets seized up and the economy teetered on the brink of collapse. But with Congress's help, Chairman Powell acted swiftly and appropriately to stabilize the financial markets and the economy. And to his critics who claimed that the regulatory reforms that he spearheaded would hasten the collapse of the banking system, we now know that's clearly empirically false. After the pandemic caused the economy to nearly collapse, our country emerged with the most well-capitalized banks in history. It was and still is abundantly clear that those regulatory reforms did not come at the expense of financial stability.
It's really nice that he's telling us that's a crypto bubble. I think the whole internet will sell everything now. Every 16,000 altcoins, Bitcoin, everything would be sold now because he's telling us it's a crypto bubble.
And the Fed has dramatically expanded its balance sheet with trillions of dollars in government bonds, effectively monetizing a lot of debt and facilitating profligate government spending. For the past 18 months, I cautioned that the Fed was fighting the last war, a mystery pathogen that led governments to collectively shut down the global economy when in fact a new enemy had arrived, and that was inflation. I'm relieved the Fed has acknowledged inflation is running well above and longer than its initial projections. In response, the Fed has accelerated the termination of its bond buying program, and FOMC participants appear to be accelerating the process to normalize interest rates. These are welcome developments. But I do remain concerned with the Fed's actions going forward. First, I worry that the Fed's extraordinary response to the crisis could become the new normal for monetary policy. We're more than a year into a record economic expansion with unemployment at near all-time lows, and yet the Fed is still today buying government and agency securities. Having continued QE throughout the recovery was, in my view, a mistake. It's contributed to asset bubbles, distorted markets, and a suboptimal allocation of capital, credit, and resources, all of which ultimately lead to lower economic growth. Second, I worry that the Fed's new monetary policy framework has contributed to the Fed being behind the curve as we are seeing inflation running at a 39-year high. Under this new framework, the Fed intentionally tolerates above target inflation for an indeterminate period of time. Under the old approach, the Fed may have acted last April when we first passed a 4% inflation rate. We haven't seen that in some time. Beyond monetary policy, I'm deeply concerned to see the Fed, especially at the regional banks, wade into politically charged areas like global warming and so-called racial justice.
Mike, ich kann auch nicht so gut Englisch, aber ich kann was probieren. Junge, ich probiere was. Die Idee ist eigentlich gar nicht schlecht. Ich habe gedacht, ja, ist wurscht eigentlich.
The network's stated aim is to use financial regulation to, and I quote,
geht das gar nicht?
finance to support the transition toward a sustainable economy, end quote. In other words, to direct credit away from the fossil
Warum kann ich hier eigentlich nur auf Englisch gehen?
The troubling politicization of the Fed puts its independence and effectiveness at risk.
Schade.
The Fed has been granted
Ja, schade. Ich hätte eigentlich gern die deutschen Untertitel eigentlich gehabt. Ja, gar nicht gut. Ja, überhaupt gar nicht gut. Was habe ich jetzt auch gemacht? Na toll. Ein schönes Video. Sorry, Leute. Probiert.
The Fed does not have a mandate to advance politically charged causes that are irrelevant to its mandate, like global warming or advancing so-called racial justice. And to make matters worse,
bin ganz bei dir. Yes, Iggy, I agree. 43 must fall.
At the regional banks, I've been met with unacceptable.
This is hunting again for the moment. We need
requests. So
43.
let me be clear. If this politicization continues unchecked, it will not end well for the Fed or for independently driven monetary policy. As the Fed's leader, I hope you take this seriously and rein it in to protect the Fed's legitimacy and independence. Now, I've observed that the Fed has had the good sense to adjust its behavior as the facts and circumstances regarding inflation have come in differently than were expected. Unfortunately, we've seen no such humility or recognition of reality from the Biden administration or our Democratic colleagues. They appear set on making the inflationary problem worse, further causing declines in real wages, with more reckless spending that gooses demand and regulatory and protectionist policies that limit supply, that in combination ultimately push prices for basic goods higher. The crisis we face now is inflation, complicated by policymakers who unwisely behave as if it's still March of 2020. The Fed cannot correct for policy failures like school closures and government-induced business shutdowns or misguided expansions of the welfare state, nor should it try. Chairman Powell, the role of the Fed chairman is crucial for our shared economic prosperity. I was encouraged to see your renomination, and I hope that you will do everything in your power to ensure that the Fed operates within its limited mandate to effectively support the American economy.
Thank you, Senator Toomey. Chair Powell, please rise.
Yes,
Raise your right hand.
drink a little bit
Do you
water.
swear or affirm
Little
that the
bottle.
testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Do you agree or to appear and testify before any duly constituted committee of the United States?
I swear, the sun and the moon. And
Chair Powell, we
swear.
welcome you to the committee. If you'd like to introduce family or friends, feel free. Please begin your testimony. Thank you.
Let's go. Put it on the microphone. Damn, what's going on here?
Is Is this on? Yes.
Yes, it's on. I can hear it.
I
Thanks.
didn't bring any family or friends here today in light of the limited seating circumstances, but I will mention them in my testimony. Thank you. Chairman Brown, Ranking Member Toomey, and other members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I'd like to thank President Biden for nominating me to serve a second term as chair of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. I would also like to thank my colleagues throughout the Federal Reserve System for their dedication, perseverance, and tireless work on behalf of the American people. Their commitment and expertise were essential to the Fed's response to the COVID-19 crisis and remain vital to the implementation of monetary policy as our economy continues to progress. Particular thanks go to my wife, Alyssa Leonard,
Yes, Iggy.
and our 3 children, Susie, Lucy, and Sam. Their love and support make possible everything I do. My
Yes.
5 siblings are all watching,
Like me,
or will later claim
I'm
to,
also here with my white hair.
and we are thinking of each other and of our
And
parents
you, Iggy.
today with love.
Satoshi, hi.
4 years ago, when I sat before this committee,
Nice to see you here again,
great
Satoshi.
challenges
Germany.
that would soon become ours to meet.
They should ban Bitcoin in Germany. Yes, like in
Pandemic,
India
this
or in
economy is
China.
enjoying its
Doc,
11th
doc.
year of expansion, the longest on record.
Doc, doc.
Unemployment was at 50-year lows.
Hey,
And
preacher.
economic benefits were
Old
reaching
white
those
man.
most on the margins. No obvious financial or
Same like
economic
me.
imbalances threatened the
Right here.
ongoing expansion. But this attractive picture turned virtually overnight as the virus swept across the globe.
Mr. Powell, you need to say Bitcoin is the best thing in the world and everyone should buy
The
Bitcoin
pain
now.
was even much worse.
Now.
The pandemic arrived.
Thank
Our
you.
immediate
Bye.
challenge was to stave off a full-scale depression, which would require swift and strong policy actions from across government. Congress provided by far the fastest and largest response to
Yes,
the
Mike.
post-war economic downturn.
Momently,
In fact,
no.
we used the full range of
They
policy
told us
tools at our disposal.
cryptos are a bubble.
We moved
That's not
quickly
nice.
to restore vital flows of credit to households, communities, and businesses, and to stabilize the financial system. These collective policy actions, the development and availability of vaccines, and American resilience worked in concert. First, to cushion the pandemic's economic blows, and then to spark a historically strong recovery. Today, the economy is expanding at its fastest pace in many years, and the labor market is again strong. As always, challenges remain. Both the individual shutdown and the subsequent reopening of the economy were without precedent. The economy has rapidly gained strength despite the ongoing pandemic, giving rise to persistent supply and demand imbalances and bottlenecks, and to elevated inflation. We know that high inflation
All about
exacts
COVID.
a toll, particularly
Pandemics.
for those less able to meet the higher costs of essentials like food, housing, and transportation. We are strongly committed to achieving our statutory goals of maximum employment and price stability.
Higher costs,
We will
yes.
use our tools to support the economy and a strong labor market and to prevent higher inflation from becoming entrenched. We can begin to see that the post-pandemic economy is likely to be different in some respects, and the pursuit of our goals will need to take those differences into account. To that end, monetary policy must take a broad and forward-looking view, keeping pace with an ever-evolving economy. Over the past 4 years, my colleagues and I have continued the work of our predecessors to ensure a strong and resilient financial system. We increased capital and liquidity requirements for the largest banks, and currently capital and liquidity levels at our largest, most systemically important banks are at multi-decade highs. We work to improve the public's access to instant payments, intensify
AJ,
our focus and
Dankeschön.
supervise
Thank you,
our
AJ.
efforts on evolving threats such as
Fantastic.
climate change and cyber attacks, and expanded our analysis and monitoring of financial stability.
Greetings to
We will
YouTube,
remain
AJ.
vigilant about new and emerging threats. We also updated
Danke.
our monetary policy framework, drawing on insights from people and communities across the country to reflect the challenges of conducting policy in an era of persistently low interest rates. Congress has assigned the Federal Reserve important goals and has given us considerable independence in using our tools to achieve them. In our democratic system, that independence comes with responsibility of transparency and clear communication to keep the public informed and enable effective
Gruß aus
legislative
Dubai, bin kein
oversight.
Moonboy. Bin auch kein Moonboy.
That duty takes on
Wie du
even
meine
greater
Videos hoffentlich
significance
erkennst und
when the
siehst,
Fed
bin
must
ich auch
take
kein Moonboy,
extraordinary
aber aus
actions in
Dubai.
times of crisis.
Grüße zurück.
In order to
War geil in
facilitate
Dubai,
that
war ich einmal
transparency
bisher.
and earn
Urlaub.
your trust and that of the American people,
Mit meiner
I've
Frau.
made it a
War am
priority
Hammer,
to
echt
meet
Hammer.
regularly
Er hatte
and
40 Grad,
frequently
Hammer.
with you and your elected colleagues, and I commit to continuing that practice if I'm confirmed to another term. The Federal Reserve works for all Americans.
Und Grüße natürlich retour aus Österreich.
Every person,
Kalt hier bei
family,
uns.
business, and community across the country. I am committed to making those decisions with objectivity, integrity, and impartiality, based on the best available evidence and in the long-standing tradition of monetary policy independence. That pledge lies at the heart of the Fed's mission and is one we all make when we answer the call to public service. I make it here again with force and without reservation. Everything we do at the Federal Reserve is in pursuit of the goals set for us by Congress. I'm honored to have worked in service to those ends since I joined the Fed in 2012 and as chair for the past 4 years. Thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Okay, that was not so really important for us, for the cryptocurrencies and
Many
for our
Americans are
the crypto
concerned
boys
about
here.
rising prices, and I think President Biden's decision to renominate you to a second term as chair shows he's confident you'll continue to lead our economy through this ongoing crisis. In November, you indicated that the rise of the Omicron variant, 586,000 new cases daily over the last week, that the rise of the Omicron variant posed significant risks to employment and economic activity. Do you agree that higher prices are related to the supply and demand imbalances that can be traced directly back to the pandemic and the reopening of the economy?
Yes, I do. For the most part, if you look back, and you can trace to developments, including strong demand and also supply constraints.
Thank you. Last year, FSOC released its report on climate-related financial risk, which describes how climate change is a threat to our financial stability.
Du bist der Beste. Die kannst du alle mit zum Mond schießen, die Moonboys. Ich bin Grazer. Hey, cool. AJ. Lässig.
Well, Chair Powell, the Fed
Machst du in Dubai?
FSOC reports recommendations, including implementing climate stress tests for the biggest banks.
We are looking at climate stress tests. I think it's very likely that climate stress scenarios, as we like to call them.
Distrust. I think they are afraid about this life bet here. Jeremy Powell, I think a lot of guys think they will talk about cryptocurrencies and they will talk about negative about cryptocurrencies. We heard for about 10 minutes cryptocurrency is a bubble. So I think this is the next nice stuff, sell the news.
Regarding climate change over time.
Will you make this a top priority if confirmed to another term?
Yes, it will be. I would say within supervision, as I mentioned, that is likely to be a very important priority over the coming years.
The position of vice chair of supervision, but also yours.
Yes.
It's the Fed's responsibility, as you know, to promote financial stability. It means we need strong financial safeguards in place to protect American workers and families from risks in our financial system. It's all that. Chair Powell, recently the Fed has refocused its full employment objectives to make sure it includes workers of all backgrounds. Do you agree that when all workers, including women, including black and brown workers, are able to fully participate in the workforce, that our economy grows? And do you think it's important for the Fed to understand and proactively address racial and gender disparities?
Not at the moment, like or not at the moment.
In our country.
So what we saw at the end of the last very longest in our history expansion.
AJ, so you live in Dubai now? That's pretty cool.
Began to go
I will visit you.
To those at the lower end of the income spectrum and to groups that have been more marginalized from an economic standpoint. And that was seen, I think, very broadly as a highly desirable set of outcomes. So our tools do not generally have direct distributional effects, but I do think that we see now the great benefits that a strong labor market can bring to, right across the whole population and for the whole economy.
But you are suggesting from your answer that only when there is strong demand for labor do people who are more on the margins of society, people of color, women, people who have not done as well, only then will they benefit? Does the Fed have responsibility beyond that?
Well, of course, we have responsibilities in bank supervision and community affairs.
Like from one to give to another.
Fair lending and things
Look,
like
look.
that. But just focusing on monetary policy, our principal tool is interest rates, and they affect demand over time. And I do think the main thing that we can do is to make sure that, consistent with the inflation side of our mandate, that we do foster a strong employment market.
Is part of that a more diverse workforce at the Fed?
As you know, we work very hard to achieve diversity, and as all major American institutions, public and private, do these days, we certainly do. And we think that having a diverse workforce.
Hey, Turkey! I love Turkey too. I was in Turkey a lot of times.
And so it's an important focus.
But most times in Alanya, I think Alanya.
Thank you. Sorry, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, we all know
Side.
great
I was
interest
often in Side.
shift in the Fed's focus.
Istanbul. Angry Higgins, I visited Istanbul 5 times. Great city. I was never in Istanbul. I have to make this. I have to make the next trip to Istanbul. But we need COVID-19 go to hell. That's the big thing in my opinion.
And I wonder if you could comment on the fact that if we had 3 or even 4 25 basis point increases in overnight rates, we would still, in my view, have a very accommodative stance with negative real short-term rates. Is it your view that it's realistic to bring inflation back to the target level if short-term interest rates are negative, real rates?
So the way I would look at it is this. What we have now is a mismatch between demand and supply. We have very strong demand in areas where supply is constrained, particularly around goods, particularly around things like cars. So we have to, how are those two things going to get into better into alignment? Well, part of the answer is going to be through shifts in demand, and we think that part of it will be through the return of greater supply. So I don't think...
Hey, Bodrum, I know Bodrum, yes. Really beautiful.
Realignment between demand and supply through the demand channel.
Mike?
We should get some.
Dein Chat funktioniert, also bei mir geht er. Zumindest sehe ich alles.
Return to normal supply conditions, and that's going to affect our policy.
Ich hoffe halt, dass alles geht. Ich streame ja hier auf YouTube und auf Twitch. Und im Livestream, also ich bin ja hier international tätig. Ich hoffe, das geht alles.
Then we will, if we have to raise interest rates more over time, we will. We will use our tools to get inflation back, and the main reason is this. That to get the kind of very strong labor market we want with high participation, it's going to take a long expansion. We can see that participation is moving only very slowly. And to get a long expansion, we're going to need price stability.
Iggy, what do you know about open air discs? Because you are an old man. You know everything about the Musikantenstadl or Andy Borg, something like this, but not open air discos.
Just to ask
old man.
As I mentioned, I understood the need for quantitative easing, the extraordinary measures that we're taking during the crisis. But I worry that the Fed's decision to continue to use these policies well after the crisis had passed, and in fact we're in the midst of a strong recovery, increases the risk of normalizing behavior like this bond buying. So I think it's your view that it's
Mike, mein Name auf Twitch ist Bitcointradinginformant.
Of Fed behavior.
Heißt eigentlich überall so. Bitcointradinginformant.
If it is important that this not become a routine matter, how do we ensure that it doesn't?
So
20 years ago you was there, okay. Okay. I think the open air disco is not the living today.
There's 2 historically large downturns, one being the global financial crisis and one being the pandemic, and we were called to invent new tools and use all of our tools. If we had a regular way recession, a couple of quarters of negative growth, a typical recession, then the question would be, what do we need to do? And so in this era of very low interest rates, there's not going to be as much room to cut, but that would be the first thing that we would do. Now, just because we have been and probably remain in an era of very low interest rates, we would have to look at asset purchases as the next tool in line, but I don't think we'd automatically use it unless it was necessary.
I would certainly hope we wouldn't automatically use it. I would hope that there would be a very, very high threshold to get over, especially when you consider the ways in which it distorts the allocation of capital. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, one of the things I'm very concerned about is especially the regional banks having strayed from the Fed's statutory mission on monetary policy into inappropriate and overtly political advocacy. It's one of many, many examples. The Boston Fed conducted a virtual event as part of its Racism and the Economy series, in which the speakers routinely and adamantly called for defunding the police. Just nothing to do with the Fed's mandate. For 7 months now, I've been asking for information from several regional banks about their political activism, and for 7 months, they have simply refused to comply with my request. So I've requested some documentation from the main Fed with respect to this activity, all of which, by the way, is subject to FOIA in any case. Now, I'm sure it's not your opinion that the ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee is entitled to less information than a member of the general public would get through a FOIA request. So can you commit to getting me the information that is now long overdue?
So I am aware that you have submitted a FOIA request and we're processing it now, and I don't know what's asked for. I don't know whether it's actually covered by FOIA, but to the extent that it is, you'll of course get it.
I think it's very important that this committee and Congress understand how the Fed reaches decisions to...
Hey, Mike Mouse, thanks for following.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, yes.
Senator Toomey, Senator Reid from Rhode Island is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And Chairman Powell, congratulations on your renomination. I believe that President Biden has made two excellent choices, yourself and Governor Bernard. I think you worked together hand in hand for many years. I think you'll be a superb...
Mike Maus, Mike M. Ja, jetzt habe ich es erst verstanden. Danke für deinen Follower bei Twitch. Warst gerade bei YouTube mit dabei. Mike Maus.
Join my colleagues in commending you for an exceptional job with respect to the pandemic. One of the interesting consequences of the pandemic and the employment market is that we've seen wages rise. In fact, we've seen them rise with respect to factory workers, non-supervisory personnel, about 5.8%. And my concern is, would an increase in interest rates in anywhere begin to slow down that rise or indeed reverse it?
So like you and I think like everyone, we think wages moving up is generally a good thing. But if you look back through history, there are times when wages have moved up in a way that has fostered persistent inflation, and that hurts everyone. It particularly hurts people on fixed incomes. So we don't see that right now, but we do see these are the biggest wage increases in decades. And so we're watching carefully and to the extent we are looking at this year, what we see is an economy where the labor market is recovering incredibly rapidly, really beginning around the end of the middle of last year. The unemployment rate's been dropping at more than 0.3% per month since last June. It's now below 4%, which is pretty close to half century lows. So that part of the employment market is doing very well. Meanwhile, inflation's running very well, very far above our target. And what that's telling us is that the economy no longer needs or wants the very highly accommodative policies that we've had in place to deal with the pandemic and the aftermath. So that's what that's really about. We're really just going to be moving over the course of this year to a policy that is closer to normal, but it's a long road to normal from where we are. Right now we are very highly accommodative, and it is really time for us to begin to move away from those emergency pandemic settings to a more normal level. It really should not have negative effects on the employment market.
Which it's ironic because, as you pointed out in your opening statement, when you took over, we had 11 straight years of significant economic growth, but that was not translated into the wages of most working people, particularly entry-level and non-factory workers, et cetera. And now we've seen a situation where that's reversed, and I would hope that we could continue that type of progress. And I know you'll be sensitive to that going forward. One of the interesting things about the situation we face now is that the Fed tools are probably most effective reducing overall demand. But a lot of what we're facing is supply problems. You know, the situation about automobiles, the problem there, in fact, I think used cars are so expensive, they're distorting the inflation numbers significantly. And that's a result of a shortage of microchips and other types of chips, which is a result of the pandemic. These are supply issues. So to what extent will your dealing with demand help supply? And maybe that's the real problem.
No, it really won't. We really can't directly affect supply side conditions. And that's why I mentioned
Guys, I'm back soon.
A problem both of very strong elevated demand, particularly in a part of the economy, the goods sector, the durable goods sector, things like washing machines and cars and all of the things that people bought during the course of the pandemic when they couldn't spend money on travel and services. That's where spending is running at a level 20% above where it was before the pandemic, and it's just kind of overwhelmed the supply chains, most of which are global. In these days, you're getting parts and fully assembled products coming in. So we can affect the demand side. We can't affect the supply side, but this really is a combination of the two.
Well, and a final point I want to make is that the issue of climate change is absolutely critical. It's an economic issue. I don't think you want to see a lot of banks owning property that's literally underwater. But if you look at any of the analysis going forward, that could be the case. So I would hope that the Fed would view this as an economic issue and pursue it as an economic issue that's going to affect us dramatically. And my colleague, Senator Whitehouse, has been one of the most staunch visionaries and advocates for that position, and I hope the Fed is responsive. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Reid. Senator Shelby from Alabama is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Powell, welcome back to the committee. You've spent a lot of time with us in the past. Inflation is currently surging at its highest rate in 40 years. And while I appreciate the decision that the Fed has made to begin tapering, I'm concerned that the Fed missed the boat on addressing inflation sooner. A lot of us are. And as a result of that, the Fed, under your leadership, has lost a lot of credibility. I only have a little time, so I have a number of questions, and I know you can probably remember them, but maybe together we'll remember them all. But I'd like to touch on this, if you would. I'd like for you to. Why did the Federal Reserve initially forecast inflation to be transitory? Secondly, has your view on the threat of inflation changed? Why? What assurances can you provide here today that the Fed has a better grasp today on inflation than a year ago and so forth? And what factors have caused the U.S. to have greater increases in inflation compared to other developed countries? And I guess lastly, yes, how important is price stability to the American people? And that's a lot of questions, but these are all relevant to your job. Thank you.
Respecting your time, let me go right through these. First, let me say price stability is half of our mandate. There's no basis in the law for preferring maximum employment over price stability or vice versa. They're equal. However, at different times, one of them is farther away from its goal, and that's the one we need to focus on a little bit more. Sometimes that's maximum employment, sometimes it's inflation. I'd say now it's inflation. So on inflation, why do we say transitory? We said that because we thought that these supply side bottlenecks and shortages would be alleviated much more quickly than they have been. There's no empirical experience with this before. We haven't had the global supply chain collapse. We haven't had this kind of a labor force shock before. So we and essentially all other mainstream forecasters forecasted that by now we'd be seeing much lower inflation, and that's not what happened. So what's changed is that, just as I mentioned, the supply side constraints have been very persistent and very durable. we're not seeing really a lot of progress. If you look across, the global supply chains and what's happening domestically, look at our ports, look at Long Beach and LA, the two big ports on the west coast for Asia.
Das ist immer die gute Frage, Mike. Echt immer eine gute Frage. Das ist wie bei unseren Politikern. Nicht, dass die selber das glauben, was sie erzählen. Ich glaube, hier ist das gleiche Spiel.
That's really what's driving it. I think we did foresee the strong spike in demand. We didn't know that it would be so focused on goods, but so that's really what happened. And so I think we learned that it wasn't that it was just this is a unique set of circumstances. We haven't had really the United States economy is so dynamic. The supply side adapts quickly, and there are new companies being started and old companies dying all the time. This is a situation where there actually are hard constraints. People want to buy cars. Car makers can't make any more cars because there are no semiconductors. So that's never happened. I can't think of another example of that, and that's true across. So what factors really? It's the supply side. Did I miss any? I like to think I covered, at least touched all 5 of those.
What have you really learned and you would share with your fellow Board of Governors to get a grasp as much as you can on inflation? Because a lot of us have been on the committee a while, and we remembered what Dr. Volcker did with the Fed under his leadership. And it was draconian, but it worked. I hope we won't have to do that, but you've got to do whatever you have to do. Do you agree?
We have to achieve price stability, and I believe we will, and I'm confident we will. And again, it's not just a question of restraining demand, although that will be. Right now, we're stimulating demand with very highly accommodative policy. As we move through this year, we will, in all likelihood, we don't know the future, but if things develop as expected, we'll be normalizing policy, meaning we're going to end our asset purchases in March, meaning we'll be raising rates over the course of the year. At some point, perhaps later this year, we will start to allow the balance sheet to run off. And that's just the road to normalizing policy. That's what we're going to be doing. Of course, we're committed. But we also we do believe, and I think widely it is believed that these supply blockages will be alleviated too, so that there will be more supply as well, more labor force. But people will be coming back into the labor force. We'll see more recovery, although it's been slow from participation. And we'll see these global supply blockages coming down. We'll see some more cars, although that's going to take some time. And that will help as well, getting supply and demand back at the same level.
Senator Menendez from New Jersey is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair Powell, let me start by reiterating a point that I've made, unfortunately, far too many times. And the latest batch
Doch, ich bin noch immer da.
nominees
Nur mal kurz, die kleine Jungs.
once
Denke
again
gern.
conclusion that there is a serious
Wir müssen ja dann noch die englische Analyse machen von
Federal
Bitcoin.
Reserve. Latinos are the country's largest minority. They make up nearly 20% of the entire U.S. population. It's outrageous that they have no representation in Fed leadership. There's never been a single member of the Board of Governors or regional bank president that has lived the experience of being a Latino in the United States. And that means that the voices of 1/5 of the country's citizens are repeatedly drowned out when the Fed is making critical decisions on economic policy, decisions that affect whether a Latino family can afford their first home, find a job that pays a living wage, send their children to college, save for a comfortable retirement, or get a loan to expand their business. In late October, several of my colleagues and I sent you a letter requesting that you work closely with the Boston and Dallas banks to recruit diverse candidates for their open president positions. We received your response to that letter just last week, and I have to be honest with you, the lack of detail was thoroughly disappointing. I'd be expecting you to provide a more detailed update on the search process before your confirmation vote, including what specific changes you've made to the process and how they're going to lead to a more diverse candidate pool. And I hope that you will do that. While we face significant challenges with the Omicron variant and supply chain disruptions that are both causing families to face higher prices for a variety of goods, the fact is that we're experiencing a strong recovery from an unprecedented pandemic. Thanks to the American Rescue Plan and other policies put in place by Congress and the Biden administration, we gained an average of 537,000 jobs per month since President Biden took office. So, Chairman Powell, if you're confirmed, how would you continue to balance the Fed's dual mandate to keep price increases manageable while not dampening the strong job and wage growth that we've seen over the past year?
So by so many measures, labor demand relative to supply is at its highest level, really, that I can remember. The level of job openings is at an all-time high as a percentage of the labor force. The level of quits labor economists look at the level of quits as a real indicator of how strong the labor market. The percentage of quits, the number of quits, is at an all-time high. So the problem is not lack of demand for labor. The problem is that there's a significant supply problem, which is associated with the pandemic and a range of other factors. Participation has not recovered, but as you can see, for people who are in the labor force, the unemployment rate is dropping at historically fast levels. So we don't have a labor demand problem to solve through our policy. What we have is a labor supply problem. So what is the threat? We're clearly on a path to have an even better labor market over time. What are the big threats to our getting there? Well, I would say right very near the top of the list is the threat of price stability. If inflation does become too persistent, if these high levels of inflation get entrenched in our economy and in people's thinking, then inevitably that will lead to much tighter monetary policy.
Yes, Angry Higgins, I told you, they should say, buy Bitcoin now.
So really,
it's the one and only thing that could help us for everything. Bitcoin will end COVID-19, Bitcoin will end everything on the world.
Price stability, and that's going to require us to use our tools to the extent they work on the
Mike Maus, meinst du, wir erreichen noch die 38.000? Hat da was liegen? Ich glaube schon, dass es einen finalen großen Spike nach unten noch geben könnte. Nur der gestern war schon ziemlich guter Spike nach unten. Dieser Lower Shadow. Und ich glaube, es könnte vielleicht sogar schon der Boden gewesen sein. Aber Mike, ich kann es dir wirklich nicht sagen, bin kein Hellseher. Aber ich habe das gestern schon mal sehr positiv gesehen mit diesem langen Docht nach unten. Und ich glaube, es könnte durchaus jetzt ein Boden gewesen sein. Der tiefste Punkt könnte erreicht gewesen sein mit 39,7. Und von hier, glaube ich, könnte es durchaus schon mal jetzt nach oben gehen. Vielleicht nicht jetzt schon direkt nach oben, aber wir sollten jetzt mal ein Stück sehen nach oben. Das ist meine Meinung.
Was most strongly affected in November of 2020 and the South at the end of last summer. How closely does the Fed look at differences in regions?
Porsche Germany, ich denke, die 38.000 sehen wir noch. Naja. Lulac. Ja, Larry Lulac. Aber Shadow. Reagan. As any traders took advantage of FTM Phantom from its bottom recovery? No. I did not look at FTM for the moment. Totally expect Sol to recover nicely soon too. Solana is going down really hard for the moment, Dragon. But for the moment, maybe everything is here building a bottom. Altcoins and Bitcoins. We will check this soon in our analysis. We will check this. Don't forget the longer upper shadow is here.
All right, well, I look forward to following up with you on the diversity question. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Crapo is recognized from Idaho from his office, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chair Powell, welcome back to the committee. When you last appeared before the committee, I also asked you about an expected Fed report on digital currencies. You indicated that delays in releasing the report were because the Fed wanted to ensure that their analysis was correct and to complete.
Schaut so aus. Satoshi, ja, stimmt schon. Wenig Volumen.
In the coming weeks. However, that report still has not been released. Do you have an update you can share on the status of the report? And are there problems with sharing this report?
Yes, tomorrow it would be really interesting, AJ. Tomorrow is a big day. I think it's a really big sign, maybe, what they are making with us, what they are telling us tomorrow with the Fed. And I think this would be positive or a negative thing for Bitcoin. We have to watch it.
The fall for us given changes in monetary policy and other things going on, it was hard to.
Satoshi, zu wenig Käufer momentan, die geiern alle auf bessere Preise, ja.
Quite to where we needed to get it, but it's.
Stimmt schon, wir haben wirklich zu wenig Volumen momentan. Es hätte richtig nach oben schießen müssen.
It's within weeks we will be publishing it. And by the way, it's more going to be an exercise in asking questions and seeking information.
IOTA ist für mich ein großes Ding momentan. Da haben wir echt gerade jetzt im Dreieck den Boden erreicht und leider sogar unterschritten. Habe ich euch gestern ein Video gemacht. Da bin ich mir nicht sicher, was da weitergeht. Der Junge schafft es natürlich nicht, sein Mikrofon einzustellen. Muss wirklich schwierig sein, wenn man keine Fahrer hat, die das machen für einen. Wenn das übersteuert, das hasse ich.
That the Fed release this report so that we can engage in the further discussion of it. I want to also, with the rest of my time, go back to the issue of inflation. I know you've talked about it a lot with us this morning. In response to my questioning about inflation last November, you confirmed that inflation.
Mike Maus, schönen Abend. Ciao, ciao.
Through the middle of
Leute, mir rennt die Zeit davon. Ich werde jetzt auch mal meine Englisch-Analyse starten. I will start my English analysis now. Guys, I have no time. I can't show you longer this one. If you are interested in this live stream, you can look it here. I will bring it here to you. Here it is, and here it is. So here's the link. You can watch it, and I will start now with the English analysis for Bitcoin. Let's go, guys. Give me a break.
Say that our policy will continue to adapt. Our
Hello world, here's Biti back again, and here is the English update for Bitcoin. This is the English analysis. We will check what's going on. And guys, I think we saw a really nice sign yesterday. Yesterday candle was really beautiful. I will show you this, and maybe this was the buy opportunity, maybe this was the bottom, and maybe we can go to the moon now. So I'm not a moon boy from Dubai, but I would like to show you what's going on with Bitcoin, and I hope you have some really nice things to watch here, and I hope you can enjoy it. I hope you have some Bobcoin here, and we will start this now. Guys, let's go. So first of all, let's check CoinMarketCap. What is going on with the crypto coins? And you can see we have today 16,652 crypto coins in the market. It's really amazing. And what we can see next, everything is green. You can see it, the top 10 coins, green. If we're going down and more, everything is green. Okay, Terra USD is not so interesting, but the crypto coins, the next one, everything is green. That's really amazing. It's a nice day for cryptocurrencies. It's a nice day for Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is going up to up with 2.7%. It's for the moment on 41.4. It's not over our big resistance. We need to watch this, but it's going up a little bit. On the week, it's going down really hard, 11.8%, not good. Ethereum is going down more, 19.8%, and Ethereum is going up a little bit more as Bitcoin for the daily, 3.7%. The Binance coin, a really nice pump. Look at this, 8% in the plus, but in the week, 13% in the minus. So you can see, yes, a lot of coins are going up here. And Solana is really interesting, 21% in the minus today, pumping a little bit. So maybe we can see a nice pump from Solana. Okay. Let's check the next thing. 24 hours. What is the biggest winner? The biggest winner is Oasis, a pump with 29% in 24 hours. That's really amazing, guys. Near Protocol is going up with 70%, and Polygon Matic is also going up with 12.3%. The biggest loser is, we have no losers here, guys. That's amazing. We have a day with no losers. Really nice. No losers here. 7 days. The biggest winner in 7 days is Chainlink. Chainlink is going up with 8.6%, Dash 5.7%, and that's it. We have only 3 coins in the plus in the week, guys. We have 16,652 coins and we have only 3 coins they are in the plus in the week. That's not nice. The biggest loser is Curve is going down 34%, RWIF 34%, and Gala is also going down 31%. So let's move on, and here is the dominance. Yes, I told you this, guys. Attention, we saw a little downtrend. Yes, yes, of course, guys, we are in a big downtrend, but we saw a little downtrend, we broke it to the upside, and now we are in a little uptrend. That's nice, this little uptrend. The big thing is, but now, guys, we are here in the daily time frame, and you can see it here. Yes, we saw a golden cross. After this, a death cross, and we are in a death cross zone. That's not good. The big problem is, for the moment, this one. We are here. This is the big problem. We need to fight back this green line. The green line is the SMA 50. You can see it here. Green is SMA 50, red is SMA 200, and we need to fight back. As long as we are with the dominance under this line, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. For the moment, it's a little bit better to trade Bitcoin as the altcoins because we can break out a little bit, but we have to watch it, guys. Yes, here we are. Extreme fear in the market. It's one of the most greatest fears here in the market since long time. Extreme fear, 21 points. Yesterday, 23. Last week, 23. Last month, fear, 27. Now, we have extreme fear here. Here, greetings to Dubai. You can see it here, really nice. Vienna, Dubai, 161 euro. That's really, really cheap here. So let's move on. What is telling us TradingView? On the months, we can see a buy. Okay, that's nice. But if you're watching the week, sell. 1 day, sell. 4 hour sell. 2 hour sell. 1 hour sell. 30 minutes sell. Everything is telling us sell your Bitcoin. Only the big time frame is telling us the monthly. Yes, okay, we can buy. That's not so nice. What is telling us CoinCodex? Have a little problem with CoinCodex because it's not measuring really nice. There are so much things they are watching about, and what they are predicting us is for the most times not okay. But we will check this. We will check this. CoinCodex is going up a little bit. This is telling us the prediction, the price prediction. CoinCodex is telling us it's going up a little bit. This one is telling us the price prediction. That's correct. We're going up to maybe January the 12th to a price about 44,500. After this, we will go down a little bit, up a little bit, down a little bit more, 42,000. And maybe to the end of the week, we will go up again, 44,000. So we are bearish. You can see it. 27% bullish and 73% bearish. Everything is red here. Yes, that's the same picture as yesterday. Now it's interesting. We have the support points, 40,300. Support point number 2, 38,800. And support number 3, 37,800. The big resistance points to the upsides, is here 42,007, 43,007, and 45,177. That's the biggest resistance here if we can climb more and more. And this one is telling us in the next 7 days, okay, we will go up a little bit, maybe until tomorrow. After this, down, a little bit up and down again. If we are checking, showing more, we will see on January the 22nd, we will go down here a little bit, 40,100 maybe. After this, we'll go up. And if we are watching the February, we may go up here really nice, about to 48,000. Okay, this is telling us CoinCodex with the price prediction. Though, yes, guys, everyone is talking about this. Everyone is studying this one because this is a really, really big support. What we are having here, watch 40K. If we will lose this, we will hit 30K. Okay, this is telling us this nice chart picture here. And the big question is now, are we in the ABC correction? I think yes. And the bigger question is now, is Z on this point 40,000 or is Z lower on 30,000? That's one of the biggest things we need to watch. And guys, I have a positive thing. I would like to show you this soon. This one here from Mohsen Amini is a really nice chart picture, and that's showing us attention, we may go down lower and lower because we are here now under the support line. I showed you this yesterday also, and maybe we are now in the depression zone. That's not good. What is telling us this one here? This is the Bitcoin stock to flow model, and yes, you can see we should be on a price about 108,000. What is our price? 41,000 for the moment. We should go up here. This is telling us our Bitcoin stock to flow model. And now let me show you, this is really positive. On the daily time frame, we have two positive candlestick patterns. I showed you this also yesterday, so I will make it short now. We have a morning doji star here, we have a doji star bullish and a harami cross. These are bullish signs that we may go up here more and more, that we build it here a bottom. I hope so. Now let me show you this one. Really, what is this? First of all, this is the daily time frame, and this is the important stuff. Now I like to show you this candle. This was the candle yesterday. A long wick to the downside, a really short body here, and this is this candlestick pattern, the long lower shadow. And guys, a lot of traders are watching at these candlestick patterns, and if they see a long lower shadow, it's for the most times an indicator for a trend reversal. So this is a really bullish sign here that we may see now an upgoing price, guys. We saw here this one, a spinning top white, then the long lower shadow, and here once again, for the moment we have time to close 8 hours this candle. This is a spinning top white candlestick pattern, and these are 3 bullish patterns, guys. This is, in my opinion, really bullish for the moment. So I hope that we saw here a little bottom. I will not tell you it was the last drop here, but I hope now for a next nice move to the upside. Guys, watch this. We saw here the long upper shadow. The long upper shadow is a bearish trend reversal. What happened after this? Bam! We went down really hard. It's not always working 100%. But it's working really nice. Watch the pattern, and I show you this pattern also in my live stream, guys. I'm streaming live. A lot of guys are asking me, Biti, what is your name on Twitch or on Bitcoin? The name is Bitcoin Trading Informant. It's easy. I have the name Bitcoin Trading Informant on YouTube, on Twitch, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitter, on... I think that's it, guys. I'm really great in the influencer scene, but I'm a really little streamer. Okay, now let's move on here. So this one is, in my opinion, a nice buy opportunity. By the bottom, maybe. Attention, it's maybe falling knife. I told you this. Don't cut your fingers, guys. But this is not the baddest thing. It's easy to tell you, yes, buy, we are going to the moon. Yes, buy, yes, buy. But the big thing is, where is the bottom to buy? And this is really hard for trading, because they are stop loss hunting you, and it's really hard for the moment. I bought in here on the downside, and I hope this is now a little bottom. I hope we can go up here. The big question is now, if we go up here, where is our target? I will not make it too long for today, guys. Let me show you this one here. This is the bearish downtrend. We are still over the middle line. Okay, we see maybe, or we saw maybe here a nice little bottom. Something like this here, something like this. A nice little bottom here, maybe again. And maybe we can go up here now a little bit. We can go up back again to this trend line, 45. This would be really nice. But first of all, let's check this one. Fibonacci retracement to the lowest point. And you can see this is also a really big stuff, 46,500. That's the big time frame. Let me show you what's more important if you're watching on the 1 hour time frame, and this is also really important. We saw here a bearish engulfing. After this, we went down really hard. After this, some dojis, these are bullish signs for a trend reversal, and now we are going up. Okay, nice. But we are here in the 1 hour time frame, and now let me show you where is the big stuff. Where is the big thing, what we need to fight here? And this is this one. A little bearish downtrend channel, just a little. Maybe a little bottom. But now we have a big problem here on the upper side. We need now to fight back this point. 42,700. Maybe we're going a little bit to this point, 4680, 47. Guys, this is, in my opinion, one of the greatest things we need to fight back. As long as we are here under this point, it's a really big problem for the moment. If you're in a long position, okay, you can lean back and enjoy this, but we need to fight back 42,700 here if you're watching this one. Let me check the Bollinger Band, not this Bollinger Band. Then I hate this Bollinger Band strategy. I need this. So the Bollinger Band is showing us on the 1 hour time frame this picture, guys. We are fighting with the middle line of the Bollinger Band. We need a confirmed closing candle. We need to break out here to the upside. This would be the nice stuff. It was maybe a little buy opportunity on the downside on the Bollinger Band, and now up again. Guys, if you are asking me, Biti, where is the best point to buy? In Dubai, it's the best point to buy in Dubai. No, where's the best point to buy Bitcoin? We are going into a boring sideways channel. That's not good. Guys, you can make nice trades if we are going down here like this one. It's a good point to buy under this middle line, maybe. Let me show you. It's not so working 100%, what I would like to show you. Let me check. The Bollinger Band off here. This is also not the best thing. Let's remove this one. So, okay. And let me show you one thing here. So, okay. You can see what's going on here. Where's the best point to buy Bitcoin? If you're buying this channel, this sideways going channel, it's a good point to buy maybe on the middle line, to sell on the upper side, this one here. So you can make little trades here, 41.2 to 42.6, nice little trade with a leverage. If you can catch the downside here, okay, yes, for sure, it's a really nice entry point, but these are really nice points to trade. This is not working so correctly. Let me show you one thing. Maybe it is a better one. This is also a thing we need to watch. This one here. That's better. Guys, this is better. So I can show you this one better. Here is a good point for a buy position. In the middle, here is a good point for a sell. The next one on the downside, the buy position. If you're going up again more and more, maybe this is interesting. With a stop loss, you are out of the trade, okay? And maybe this is interesting. Down again, middle, attention, yes, big volume, let me stay in. Stop loss hunting, I'm out of the trade, damn, and then back to the upside. I know it, guys, it's really hard to trade. It's really hard to trade, I know it. But these are really nice buy position and sell positions. You can make with $100, $50, $1,000, it depends how much money you would like to trade. You can make nice money. With leverage, you can make more money, but it's dangerous. And if you are making stop losses, you can see you can also make nice money here. So guys, these are so little trading positions. Remove. Before we end this video, before we end this stuff, let me show you here. I will not make it too long for today, guys. Let me show you here on the 4-hour time frame. This point. I showed you this picture since a long time. It's better on the day, I think. Yes. So let me show you support line, downside to the upside. What can we see here? This is the biggest thing in my opinion. We saw here a big wick to the downside, a buy-in position after this next point to the upside. We are over this support. As long as we are over this support, everything is fine. What we have to do now is to make a next higher high. And that's also a big stuff. We need to make a higher high, higher as this one. 42,800. No, we need to make a next one over this 42,900, 43. This would be a better stuff. We need higher highs and not lower highs. That's really important. Today, no Fibonacci. Today, no RSI, MACD. I will show you this maybe tomorrow. So I will not make it too long for the day. Yesterday, I made a really long video. Now it's a little shorter one, an English update. Guys, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I will leave you with this information and I will make a next update tomorrow. We will see what's going on. If this was the best buy opportunity and you made it, congratulations. We have to watch what's going on now, guys. Thanks and bye-bye. So, and to all guys, they are here in the live stream. Thanks for watching. Thanks you for the thumbs to the upside. I will make the next video tomorrow. Let me check if it will be a next live analysis or just only an upload. We will check this and I hope we can see us. And I hope you will visit me in the live stream on YouTube or on Twitch. We have here a nice chat. Angry Higgins is here. And a lot of nice guys are here. Dragon is here and the Distrust is here. And yes, a lot of nice guys here. Mike Mouse is new here. And yes, I hope we can see us. Have a nice time. Thanks. Yours, Biti. Bye-bye, Higgy.